Anil Saduram is the regional partner for the Caribbean and Guianas, a former consultant turned into pioneer with emerging technology in emerging markets. Anil has been part of the CANTO community since 2010. Also joining him is Tenula's CEO, Lars Moltzen. Now, Lars is an entrepreneur with a strong technical background. He chose a career within software and telecommunications, initially as an employee in tech companies, later as a self-employed consultant and business developer. And during his career, he has contributed to a range of Europe research projects under IST, Eureka, and ESA as well. One patent in 3G access control algorithms and many conference and journal papers. So Anil, we are turning it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Bon dia. Good afternoon in Denmark, and probably good evening for some people around the globe. It's so great to be here today at the 38th Annual General Meeting of the CANTO in 2022. My name is Anil Saduram. I'm the regional partner for the Caribbean and Guianas for Sternila, as was mentioned. Before I continue, by the way, I would like to to express my thanks, my gratitude to Teresa, the Secretary General of the CANTO, and the whole team to making this event happen. My first CANTO, as was mentioned before, was in 2010. Back then, I was working and living in the Netherlands, and the CANTO was held in Curacao back then, and so it was my first CANTO, as I said before. And to make a long story short, Curacao became my home base since then. Some of you might know me maybe from the digital television projects, for example, in Suriname, or with Telesur, or here with UTS, now Liberty. Others might know me maybe from the, when I spoke about creating smart cities in the Caribbean. And others might know me from the Tech and Trend Committee, where I came up with the idea of a white video instead of a white paper. CANTO is all about connecting. So during the Tech and Trend Committee, one of those sessions, I think on top of my head, was 2018 in Panama. That's where I met Lars, and from that moment on, we kept connected. And when I learned that he launched Sternila, that he started Sternila, we reconnected again, and that's why we are here together in this session. So basically, I'm always was brought up with the idea of think global, act local. So in this case, since I'm based in Curacao, I would say think global, act Caribbean. Today, I would say think global, act CANTO. So again, like I said, CANTO is all about connecting people. I would like to say from smart cities in the Caribbean to creating, connecting the oceans. Lars, the floor is yours.
Very good morning. Thanks, Anil, for the introduction. I'm very happy and honored to be back in CANTO. Some of you may know me because I used to sit together with Anil in the CANTO Technical Trends Committee, in particular doing some work on IoT. Today I'm here representing a new company that my co-founder and I, Stefan Pilmar, and I, we started in 2019, and now it's getting time to tell you all about what it is. So let me just see if I can get the screen up here. You should be able to see it now.
I'm a little bit on delay. So
yeah, okay. I hope you're able to see my screen. So the presentation here is titled Enabling a New Way of Communication. And that's because the new company that we have set up is in fact a satellite operator. We are right now having our first satellite built. It's launching in November this year. And then we are able to offer what is a kind of maritime IoT network for different maritime digital services. where a lot of them, of course, will be relevant in the Caribbean region, which is characterized by oceans all over, and also a lot of the biggest flag states in the world are based out of the Caribbean region. So let me just see if I can move it forward. Yep. So yeah, the new satellite network that we are bringing, the Sternula network, is meant to solve some needs on digitalization in the maritime industry, which has not really been solved before or met before. And it's a lot of different types of services, a lot of them to do with maritime authority activities and data and information that needs to be broadcast or received from the ships. So that's the red public services here, but then there's also a lot of opportunities to exploit the same technology for commercial services. And so to make it short, the benefits of this new technology, which is known as AIS 2.0, a lot of you who has an understanding of or is familiar with the maritime industry is familiar with AIS, which is this global system, which is also a requirement under the IMO, used for positioning and tracking of ships. And then some really great people have come up with the idea of not just using that connectivity for tracking, but for all kinds of digital services. So new radio spectrum has been allocated under the ITU, and now the second version of AIS, which is also known as VDES, VHF Data Exchange System, is becoming a requirement under IMO SOLAS Convention. And it's all meant to help making operations in the maritime domain more efficient, will facilitate services for savings and simplifications of processes, and also to a large extent to help with the level of safety at sea. So solutions to help detecting distress situations, and picking up survivors after distress situations. The solution looks like this, which for those of you who are familiar with AIS will probably recognize that the architecture is more or less the same, except for a few differences, like the downlink from satellite, where AIS is a system that where ships are broadcasting their position over the VHF antenna, and it is possible to pick up these signals from satellite and transport them back to Earth, and then you can, for instance, go to marinetraffic.com and track ships in your neighborhood. Then there's also an opportunity for doing satellite downlink here, such that the local maritime authority is able to push information about safety situations, navigational warnings, weather forecasts, and other stuff of importance to the people on board on the bridge of the ships. And in this ecosystem, Sternula is there to offer the satellite connectivity. So it's something that enables a number of digital services, some of which are today perhaps only supported when the ships are near to the shore, where traditional cellular networks is able to cover. The new AIS 2.0 will be able to carry the same services when the ships are in the big oceans, when they are not near shore. So that's the whole point. And just to make it clear, this is a new global standard. It's going to be a requirement at some point on the IMO. And here I just took this slide from Mr. Sun Bai-hong, who's the director of the Ministry of Oceans in Korea, so in the opposite side of the planet from where you are. And in his slide, there's some e-navigation already started to digitalize the maritime industry. There's a target of having MaaS, that means maritime autonomous surface shipping, by 2030. And in between, the big milestone is the rollout of VDIS. So it's something that is also going to be rolled out probably in your coastal radio networks as an upgrade to the existing AIS system. And then you can already start utilizing it next year, 2023, when our first satellite is operational. Quite a significant comparison of AIS to AIS2 to VSAT solutions, which is what you would otherwise have a kind of internet for the ships. The idea is that you bring something which is quite close to an internet connection to the ships, except that it's not an internet connection and it has built-in cybersecurity features. And that's a very important difference, because we do not want to have internet connections directly to the bridge equipment on the ships. If you can have a hacker penetrate the electronic chart on the bridge of a ship, you can also make the captain believe that he's 1 nautical mile to the east or to the west, and make him crash onto a reef or something. So it's important that it's not an internet connection, but it is able to transport a lot of data. And then it's much more low cost. And that's because the system is deployed over the very cheap $100 VHF antenna, instead of a $100,000 VSAT antenna that is able to move and compensate for weather and waves. Yeah, so it can be used here, shown as a maritime authority broadcasting system for maritime safety information, meteorological data, virtual aids to navigation to help making the ship follow a certain route, and also to push chart updates, temporary or permanent chart updates. And if they are delivered in standardized S100 data formats, then the ships will be able to see them directly on the electronic chart system, the ECDIS. Yeah. So who is Sternula? It's myself, and it's Stefan Pilmeier, who is shown here in the slides. He's also head of the standardization of this technology in Ayala, the same organization that is standardizing the color on buoys and stuff like that. Yeah, and we have already been predicted by one of the market analyst firms, Databridge, to be the niche leader in the connectivity, where the equipment providers are big players like Saab and Kongsberg and CML Microsystems. Yeah, so our role is to do standardization, to do AIS2 training and support, provide test facilities, and then also to provide the connectivity from next year. We are the world's first commercial provider of this technology, and we intend to stay there as the main provider long time out in the future. A little bit on how it's going to look. Next year we are flying one satellite, which will be in a polar orbit. It takes 95 minutes to do one orbit. And then, of course, the Earth is rotating inside here by 24 hours. So the Earth by itself makes sure that we have global coverage from beginning, not something that gives you real-time coverage. Real-time coverage is achieved somewhere around 2028, when we have 60 satellites flying. So it'll take a while. It's low bandwidth. It's not like the big. It's not big data rates that we can achieve because of the limitation of the VHF antenna. But for Internet of Things type of services, it's just perfect. Yeah, we are present globally already to some extent. We have Anil working with us from the Caribbean. We have also local partners in West Africa and South America, starting up in the Mediterranean, in Singapore and in Australia and the USA. So yeah, of course, we are still a little bit in startup mode, but we have been able to make some agreements with our potential future customers. That is in particular the Danish Maritime Authorities and especially the Danish Meteorological Institute, who wants to use this new network for pushing ice charts for Danish Arctic waters around Greenland. Then we've signed letters of intent with Ghana and Sierra Leone, and there are already more in the pipeline. So how do we work? If you have a service, if you are a maritime authority in particular, or if you're just a private commercial service provider, the first thing you should do is contact us for signing a letter of intent. That gives us some resources to invest in working with you, and we can set up a pilot project, which would typically have a cost because we need to install some equipment on board some ships. And then at the end, hopefully, there's a room for business in where we sell connectivity as a service per megabyte and per coverage area. You can already now sign up in a kind of standardized worldwide AIS2 demo project that's going to run probably in April next year. You can go to this link, sign up, and then we have a couple of services that we will implement and make available. Otherwise, you will have to define your own services that you want to focus on. You need to equip one or more vessels, and then it's also kind of a marketing event where you can carry out your own tests and then present the results publicly and hopefully get in the media. Thanks. I hope this was interesting. I believe it's probably very new to a lot of you. But if you want to know more, get in contact with either myself or with Anil, and we can have a virtual coffee, or hopefully there'll be a chance for us to come and visit the Caribbean again in near future.